Hello YouTube and welcome back to Psychology Every Day. It is Saturday, the 4th of October, and there's a storm outside. I really hope my scaffolding won't fall over, but we'll see. So it's Saturday, Symbolism Saturday. I'm preparing for a presentation or a lecture, I guess you could call it, on sort of archetypes as a way of understanding reality. In 10 days or so, 11 days, I'm gonna do this presentation at Örebro University, and at some point I'm gonna do it at Karlstad's University, and this spring I am almost certainly gonna do it at the sort of Mensa yearly meeting. I am preparing and practicing it a lot in order to be able to do it really well, because I really want to practice sort of public speaking, holding presentations and stuff like that, because some time in the future I might, want to work as a lecturer at a university. And of course, it's good for YouTube as well. And the more I work on this project, which is, quite an intellectual endeavor, I learn more and more about the subject. So what we're going to do today is actually, and I hope, it doesn't spoil too much for anyone that is watching that will also see the lecture, but I think it's fine, because it's gonna evolve and get better and better. But basically, I'm gonna do a double whammy, and I'm gonna practice this presentation right now, right here, and you're gonna see sort of how you start to practice a presentation in the very best way. This is also applicable to a lot of... I could do this on a sports psychology Sunday, actually, because this is how you start to get good at something. You put on the training wheels and you go slow, but you make sure you do it absolutely correct. Over and over and over and over again. And then you start to take off the training wheels. I learned this when last year, when we were going to do sort of IQ tests, where you have to follow a strict manual, and sort of winging it from the go when you practice is a big mistake. Just do it exactly right, and then you can wing it later when the core sort of thing is in your system, in your backbone, when you almost know it by heart. So let's get right into it. I'm not going to do the introduction, but yeah, we're going to start on slide 2. And I'm just going to read the manuscript, because this is how you do it in the beginning. And in the end, when you've done this 100 times, you don't use a manuscript, and you don't try to remember it either, because trying to remember manuscripts is a disastrous way. You just get so caught up in trying to remember things that you're not present in the moment. This is true for all sports as well, by the way. Here we go. In this picture, we see a guy doing something that is obviously wrong. He's wearing a suit to the gym and a sweat dress to court. Completely unacceptable. But why? A lot of suits are quite comfortable and stretchy, and the shoes are a lot like powerlifting shoes. I want to show you something. Here are 3 caps: military camouflage cap, psychology everyday cap, propeller hat. Same material, same function. Well, maybe this one also helps you hide, and this one measures the wind speed, I guess. Yet, they are absolutely not interchangeable. This one comes with a bunch of strict rules. For example, it is only to be worn with the rest of the uniform, and you are to immediately take it off when you get inside, and immediately put it on when you step outside. It would feel very wrong for me to put this on right now. This one looks absolutely ridiculous. Even millennials, the ironic generation, would wildly hesitate to wear this to a job interview or a funeral. This one, of course, is absolutely beautiful and should be worn at all times. Now, I want to show you a person. As soon as you can, tell me who it is. Just yell it out, okay? Ready? Jack Sparrow. That's exactly right. Or Captain Jack Sparrow. Here's the thing. This picture doesn't have enough detail in a way. Yet it is perfectly obvious to everyone that has seen the movie that it's Captain Jack Sparrow. What is extra fascinating is that this blur ensures that the answer is Jack Sparrow instead of Johnny Depp, because the people that know who Johnny Depp is, but not Jack Sparrow, won't say anything, because there's no way to tell that's Johnny Depp. We're gonna swing back to this later. Top-down analysis is used to quickly understand and navigate life by using pattern recognition. Doing the opposite, bottom-up analysis, takes way too much time and effort for it to be even remotely practical in day-to-day situations. When someone wears a suit, our brain quickly scrambles through our memories and experiences to place them in some sort of category in order to assess their value, possible threat level, hierarchical status, and other things. How you express yourself with what you dress, talk, and walk, or how it should be, is a symbolic representation of yourself. And what is a symbolic representation, you might ask? Well, I'm going to use an example that I stole and improved. I'm going to give you 5 seconds to think of a bird. Go ahead. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If we were to gather all of your bird images and scramble them together, it would look something like a mix of these two, a robin and a songbird. That would be a symbolic representation of a bird. Although a penguin is a bird, it's not very bird-like, and few think of it when thinking of a bird. It is technically a bird, but symbolically not so much. Surely someone thought of a penguin or some other bird besides these two. So a mix of only these two would be a flawed representation. And even if everyone here or watching thought of only those two, each of them individually would be only approximate and per definition incorrect. So there's no such thing as a bird. Words are the most efficient and most shallow way of communicating and understanding reality. Christmas is a word that for most of you will bring up a ton of memories, thoughts, and feelings. They say a picture says more than 1,000 words, but the opposite is true as well. A single word can paint 1,000 pictures. You could call this congruence or alignment. It adds up. If you say you're a lawyer, present as a lawyer, do lawyer things, then you're a lawyer. If you say you do CrossFit, present as a CrossFitter, do CrossFit, then you're a CrossFitter. What about if one of them is not in alignment? Or two? If I claim to be a hockey player, I dress, walk and talk like a hockey player, But I don't play hockey and never have. Am I a hockey player? Of course not. Carl Jung said, "You are what you do, not what you say you'll do." That quote is such a rabbit hole that I'm not going to comment on it further. A lawyer is a type of professional. A crossfitter is a type of athlete. In modern Jungian tradition, professional and athlete are examples of archetypes. Later in this presentation, I'll let you decide if you think they fit into Jung's original view on psychological archetypes. We can quite precisely explain using generalizations and imagery what a bird is. Most birds sort of match our collective idea of what a bird is. You know, that mashed up symbol from earlier. But the same is not true for the archetypes. In the case of bird, animal. If we mash up birds and monkeys with fish and bears, it produces something very strange. Of course, a lot of mythical animals are these kind of strange mashups. That is another rabbit hole. All lawyers are, or at least should be, professionals, but not all professionals are lawyers. A suit points towards the professional archetype, but not always. A wedding suit is not really for a professional setting. I've met carpenters that haven't read a single book in their life. There are writers that have never held a screwdriver, yet they're both artists. The types of an archetype are so diverse that it would be almost impossible to connect them without our innate understanding of archetypes. You could be mute, blind and deaf and still be an artist, a dancer. It would be more difficult to be a musician. Was it Beethoven or Mozart that famously continued after going deaf? And that tells us the challenge of it. Yet, both the dancer and the musician are artists as well. From so general that it's almost inapplicable, the types become so specific that you end up at something unique, namely the individual. The problem is that not a single person completely matches any category, just like no bird is exactly a bird, symbolically speaking. Taylor Swift isn't just pure pop, she's also country, indie, folk music. Ed Sheeran isn't pure pop either, and neither is The Weeknd, yet they are some of the most representative pop artists. I decided to draw this one because it was easier than doing it in Canva. Personality disorder is the archetype of the diagnosis. The clusters are types. Then we have the subtypes and the items with how many of them are required, from general to specific. Clinicians know how problematic this diagnostic system is. No one fits perfectly anywhere. Yet we perfectly understand what it means to be the paranoid type, or the cluster B type, or avoidant. This problem is known as the ecological fallacy. Just like no bird is a bird, if we were to precisely measure the height of everyone in this room, or of the people that's watching, and calculate the average, it would be incorrect for every individual. This was something Jung often talked about in the context of both personality psychology and diagnosing patients. He doesn't get much credit for it, but the entire modern field of personality psychology comes from Jung's ideas. He studied the work of Wilhelm Wundt, William James, Plato, Aristotle, and Hippocrates, astrology, temperament theory, trait theory, and decided that it was all basically useless, which is why he introduced binary functions instead, and would only set a diagnosis when he handed over a patient to someone else. Again, rabbit hole. So, that was the first practice run of the presentation. It's about half of it, maybe less. I hope you enjoyed, and now I'm just gonna keep on, working on it. Have a fantastic Saturday, and I will see you tomorrow.